So, and there's two versions of the story, but they're both from around the same area. Now, that one has always struck me as being the most likely case of people actually maybe physically walking through dimensions of any of the modern ones I've read, simply because if you read a lot of medieval chronicles, you'll know that the way they write about some things is very fantastical, but the way they write about just really mundane events is others. And this is just written down as something interesting. And where did those children come from? We don't know. Was the story made up? Possibly, but it doesn't have the elements of the kind of things you got from made-up stories from the time. So I'd say it can happen, but I don't know that it happens very often. And whether it's happening more now, I don't know. But I think definitely with the internet, if it does happen, we're more likely to be made aware of it, because the internet has made such tremendous changes in how people can find information. Like, I first read about the Green Children of Woolpit when I was a child in a book my father had, but I would have had to go to the library and look it up even 20 years ago, and now I can just turn online, and that's what I just read was mostly from a webpage called The Green Children of Woolpit that I can post link to, that are on Legends. It says Mysterious Britain in England, a website. So anyway, that's my answer to that one.
Can you spell that? Green Children of what?
Yeah. It's the Green Children of Woolpit, Woolpit.
Okay.
And the story was told by medieval writers Ralph O'Cargsdale and William of Newbridge, and it's south of England, 12th century. So that gives you.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
I have another question for you that
Sure.
came out. You said something about far memory cards. What are those?
They're a new deck of cards, and I'll try to put up links to them. I found them on Amazon when I was setting the business up, and thought, these look cool. I really thought they would be more of a parlor game, but they actually turn out to be, they're obviously created by a couple who are in their 80s now. He was a World War II fighter pilot. And their book is almost unintelligible. If you haven't done a lot of reading of Edgar Cayce, their book will be unintelligible, but you can forget the book and throw it out because it's interesting, but it's very theoretical. But the cards themselves, basically you have like a card for time, civilization, a card for life path or theme, a card for location, and different things that basically so you can get an idea of where you supposedly lived, what you supposedly did for a living, what your major life lesson was, and how you died. And this
really?
And actually, I have found them with people to be amazingly accurate. They have problems. For example, obviously are using a lot of the Cayce stuff, and a lot of the people that came to Cayce were from the same places. You'd expect that because karmic clumps are going to come and ask questions. So there's no card for North America. There's a card for South America and Central America, but there's no card for North America.
Huh.
There's no the time is like you get Egypt. Okay, what time? I actually started using the pendulum because they suggested using a pendulum, and I'll sit there and go, it'll say prehistoric, and I just had one of those readings, and I have to go Old Stone Age, New Stone Age. Are we in the Neolithic? Are we in the Mesolithic? Are we? So I mean, I would love to, if I could draw, I would love to do my own set of these that would include some of what I think of as the missing cards. But still, given what they are just brilliant. And I mean, I've had people, I did one for a client recently, about a week ago, and she was saying that because the cards were like she was in India and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it was all exactly the same thing that a person had told her. When she had a past life reading a few months before. So now I'm using them again as a focus. I'm learning the best way to use them I have found is in private readings where I can feel comfortable going into very light trance. And again, I'm using the cards as a focus, and I'm sort of doing a past life reading without being like going into full trance to do it.
Okay,
but even in public, they work really well.
Okay.
Sorry, I keep rambling on there.
No, that's all right.
I can send you the link on Amazon. They're great to get and play with.
Yeah, I'd like that. Okay.
Melody, I have a question for you if you're finished, Lua.
Yeah, sure. I am.
My aunt is psychic, and she's always read with regular playing cards, and she made me a set. Of course, I don't feel comfortable with them because I don't do that kind of thing. I've never read cards. What do you think of that, or do you know anyone who does that?
Yeah, actually, there is a lot of, well, originally tarot cards were playing cards. And nobody really knows when they morphed into starting to be used for fortune telling. But my comment to my husband when this came up was, well, lots of people, particularly in Ireland or in other places that traditionally where people are quite poor and where you could never find a set of, you couldn't afford something like tarot cards, and if you've heard of them, people tell fortunes with playing cards. There's several people that do it at the psychic fairs I go to. And there's even a deck now that you can get that's like a tarot deck, only it's the playing card fortune telling deck, which I just can't get my head around. But
Mm.
but basically, that's, and there's one of the people that goes on Coast to Coast who actually seems pretty accurate. I can't remember who it is, but one of the regular psychic guests reads playing cards rather than tarot cards. So it's a very old concept.
Oh, okay. Well, she had given me a deck, and it's only used for that. And then she had written on each one what they mean, and they're kind of interesting. And every so often, I'll pull one out to see if it resonates for the day, but I haven't done that in a while. And then the second question I had for you. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, what you might want to do, though, you might
Interview
feel
after
more
the interview.
comfortable getting something like what they call oracular cards now, which would be like something like the Psy card deck or the Psychic Tarot, one of the ones that has the pictures and the word on it and is not necessarily, may or may not be connected to traditional tarot or playing cards, because they can be a little easier with just the one word in the picture to sort of see what it means for you if you're first learning to read.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the second question I had is I love to comb used bookstores and things like that. And every so often I'll see a tarot deck in there with the thing, with the, book explaining what it means. But I've always been hesitant to pick it up just because of the energies that may be on it. How do you feel about that? Or is there a way that I should cleanse it?
There are ways you can cleanse it. In general, I mean, there are different attitudes. My husband, that comes from ritual magic, won't even touch a deck of cards until I've opened it and touched it, because apparently that's traditional. I'm fine with that. I just do it. On the other hand, there's also traditions about people giving you, your first deck should be given to you by somebody, which I don't think has to happen either. But often it's a deck somebody may have used. What you want to do, if you really, really, it's better if you can get a new deck. But if the only deck you can have is one that's been used, or like if one is passed down to you, what you can do is the same thing that I had one of my students do. My high priest, when I was in the Castro, he passed away from AIDS. And one of the things he passed on in his will was his set of runes to one of my students. And what we did was we soaked, because they were stones, and that it wouldn't suffer. We actually put them in salt water and soaked them for about 3 days in salt water, and that to cleanse them. And then we dried them out and we smudged them with, I think, some sage, basically earth, air, fire, water, and then they became cleared. You can do this with cards in a similar way by, setting them aside for a while, maybe putting them in some salt or putting the box they're in some salt, and then other things that are cleansing, like maybe some incense over it. There are a lot of different ways of doing it. Basically, what you want to do is you want to clear the energies off, and that can be. Now, if something feels really icky, you probably just don't want to use it, because if it's really icky, something may have happened or it may have been misused, and it's just not worth dealing with. But in general, if it's just like just got somebody else's sort of vibes on it, for lack of a better term, just cleanse it that way and put it aside for a while in some salt or earth or something that's absorbing, and then reconsecrate it to you. And that can be done with just about any tool. That's true, probably to any magical tool.
Okay. Yeah, I came across an I Ching in a bookstore that had been used, and it just felt, like you said, icky to me, and I didn't fiddle with it. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Melody. And in the beginning of the interview, you had done some mini readings, and I wanted to know if there was anything else you would care to add to that, or if you had anything more to share.
Yeah, I actually did a couple more readings, and one of the more promising ones I did that can be not quite so doomy as the first two, is the next question was, what are the most beneficial things for individuals to concentrate on in the coming year 2012? I got some really positive cards on this. The first card is Now, which not only gives us a time marker, but the picture on it is of a man harvesting the wheat with the sun shining, and it's autumnal, and it's very much this time of year, and it's just very hopeful. It's very much fruitfulness and things. And the second card was Father, which is the man teaching his young son how to hunt with a bow and arrow. He's teaching him skills. He's also putting him forward in the way he should go. And the third is the moon, which is dreams and things coming to fulfillment, things coming out of the depths. And also it is for intuition. And the way I read these cards is they suggest that the best things that people can do in order to ready themselves for the next couple of years are to now. That's a now card. Start looking towards the future. The father pointing his son in the way he should go, learning skills, the father teaching his son to hunt, to care for himself, to take care of things. Also, the need to be open to their intuitive inner voice, which is the moon, for understanding what is their own best direction and goals, as well as being alerted to things coming up from the depths, that things that we can't see coming, but they're hidden and they're coming to being in the next year or two. The moon card is also the card of dreams and visions, the unseen world in general. So I think the basic message here is now, right now is the time to work on both practical skills, material situation. Keep your sense open to messages and information that come from that other world, as well as your intuition. The other world may be seen as your own inner voice, direction from spirit, your guardian angel, or even an inner hunch. But whatever it is, don't be so caught up in the material skills aspect of providing for yourself and taking care of things and being too bound in this world. You need to be aware and ready for anything that may be coming so that you don't lose touch with your inner voice, instructor. We're all going to need some of both. So again, you want balance. You want to be getting ready and learning skills and preparing as you can, but also listening to your inner direction and also direction from the divine, essentially.
Thank you, Melody. And we appreciate you sharing your knowledge and gifts with us this evening. And I will leave you with a poem by Martin Turner at tarotpoems.com relative to the Hermit card. The looker sees a light hidden in the dark. The seeker goes within, nurturing the spark. The asker hears a voice, speaking deeper wisdom. The seer finds a way of living with the vision. On behalf of Fox and all of the members of the WebBot Forum, thank you. And in our tradition of loving and making pie, may you and yours have many delicious pies to look forward to.
Thank you very much.